All right, folks, we're going to start with a bang this week. And here it is. I'm Howard Riell. This is Riell Truth. A list was published last week of Donald Trump's 289 accomplishments, accomplished in just 20 months. 289 accomplishments. I've posted it on my Facebook page, Riell Truth Radio. The opening segment and the first segment of today's show, I'm just going to read through them. I'm not going to get all the way through, but I invite you to go to Riell Truth Radio on Facebook and read it in its entirety. Starts with economic growth. 4.2% growth in the second quarter of 2018. For the first time in more than a decade, growth is projected to exceed 3% over the calendar year. Jobs. 4 million new jobs have been created since the election, more than 3.5 million since Trump took office. More Americans are employed now than ever before in our history. Jobless claims at a lowest level in nearly 5 decades. The economy has achieved the longest positive job growth streak on record. Job openings are at an all-time high and outnumber job seekers for the first time on record. Unemployment claims at a 50-year low. African American, Hispanic, Asian American unemployment rates have all recently reached record lows. African American unemployment hit a record low of 5.9%. Hispanic, 4.5%. Asian American, 2%. Women's unemployment recently the lowest rate in 65 years. Female unemployment dropped to 3.6% in May, the lowest since October 1953. Youth unemployment recently reached its lowest level in more than 50 years. July 2018, veterans' unemployment rate of 3.0% matched the lowest rate since May 2001. Unemployment rate for Americans without a high school diploma recently reached a record low. The rate for disabled Americans recently hit a record low. Blue-collar jobs recently grew at the fastest rate in more than 3 decades. A poll found 85% of blue-collar workers believe their lives are headed in the right direction. 68% reported receiving a pay increase in the last year. And last year, job satisfaction among American workers hit its highest level since 2008. Nearly 2/3 of Americans rate now is a good time to find a quality job. Optimism about the availability of good jobs has grown by 25%. Added more than 400,000 manufacturing jobs since the election. Manufacturing employment is growing at its fastest pace in more than 2 decades. 100,000 new jobs supporting the production and transport of oil and natural gas. We'll take a break. We'll listen to some views. We'll come back, and throughout the show, we'll continue with Donald Trump's greatest accomplishments. It's Riell Truth. We'll be right back.
AllAmericanGold.com and click on our preferred metals icon to learn how you can get started today. Or call us at 800-951-0592, the Patriot Trading Group, AllAmericanGold.com.
We will continue with Donald Trump's 200. How many was it? Come on, give me a break. I'm not that old. How many was it? 289. I was right. Accomplishments in only 20 months in office. But here is a related video. Here's Ben Shapiro, who did the 3 shows on Fox News in the last 3 weeks. 10 reasons to vote Republican in November. I can think of nothing more important than this right now. Here he is. My friends, that is basically a direct quote from me many, many times on the show. That's how I know Ben Shapiro listens to Riell Truth. He's quoting me on Fox News. We'll be right back.
So California's
in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our system relies on the sun to make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be stable to any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on power, but if we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems, considered capabilities, emergency lighting, all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or via internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to greatplainsolar.com.
My friends, Don Lemon is a well-paid host on CNN. I don't care about the fact that he came out as gay. I care about the fact that he and others on his show last week made horrible racist comments about Kanye West. Here to call him out on it and calling for Don Lemon to be fired is NFL legend Herschel Walker. Let's listen in. There's Laura Ingram. So, my friend, let me ask you a question. Listening to this video, a question occurs to me. Am I allowed to refer to people as Negroes? Because if I did that, people would get very angry. You know what? They should get angry. I would never refer to someone as a Negro. But these two people, African Americans both, and then Don Lemon on the side, who's also African American, they have no problem referring to Kanye West in the most insulting way imaginable because he's not on their plantation.
This is ridiculous.
Oh, hang on one second. She's about to say they are absolutely intolerant, and she is absolutely right, and that's what the left is all about, intolerance.
We're intolerant, but I'll say this.
Oh, hang on one second. We have another mini interruption, but mini is almost finished. Here we go.
The president is courageous. He's willing to say the things that need to be said. And we haven't had that. Certainly not for the last 8 years when Barack Obama was in office.
I think they're terrified of Kanye West. So it's like he's crazy. He belongs in an insane asylum. They don't want to actually argue about the thing, which is the failures of the Democrat Party candidates. All right, Candace, give us an update after your meeting tomorrow with Kanye. Riell Truth deputy editor Dan Henninger. Would this story be different if Kanye West was visiting Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton in the White House?
That's the beginning and the end of it. There's no question, Liz. This is happening to Kanye West because he visited Donald Trump and he supports Donald Trump. It's no different than if you are an appeals court judge being nominated to the Supreme Court by Donald Trump. Therefore, you have to be denounced, you have to be ostracized, and you have to be driven out of politics.
And dehumanized.
And dehumanized. And no language is off the chart. I mean, they can say whatever they want, what they're doing with Kanye West. I have to say, I wouldn't want to get into a war of words with Kanye West, which is what they seem to be doing, but that's the reality. He said something nice about Donald Trump. He has to be driven out of the public.
But he's not allowed to have his opinions, right?
His opinions are not allowed to have any resonance. They're not talking. Kanye West was out there talking about welfare. He was talking about the amount of violence in the inner city, some about growing up, jobs. Have any of them discussed any of that? No. It's simply the fact that he appeared in the same room with Donald Trump.
Let's listen to conservative commentator Molly Hemingway weighing in. Watch.
I think there is something in our culture where there's a lot of criticism of being a conservative, a ton of criticism for being a Trump supporter. But if you can withstand that criticism, there is something empowering about it. I think the reason why you're seeing so much negative reaction, you have a very prominent black celebrity aligning himself with the president, and there is something very threatening about that, not just in terms of celebrity, but also in race issues. And you're seeing a lot of polls where you have like tons of Hispanics supporting Ted Cruz. Donald Trump himself got more black votes than Mitt Romney. There's something that people feel very nervous about when people do not play the parts they're supposed to.
And here's why, my friends. I'm going to let you in on a secret. Tell you a secret about black people. Get closer to the radio or the computer, because I don't want just anyone to hear this. I'm going to tell you something about black people you won't hear anywhere else. You ready? They're just like everybody else. They're just like everybody else. Black folks are like white folks, who are like Hispanic folks, who are like Asian folks. Human beings want the same things. We want leaders who are honest. We want leaders who get results, who put more money in our pockets and make life safer and more secure. That's what we want. And Kanye West recognizes that that's what we've got in Donald Trump. What could make more sense? And it makes perfect sense that the political whores, the media whores on CNN and MSNBC and the other alphabet stations, they're seething. They're crazed because they realize they're being shown to be losers. Donald Trump is showing that they are losers because he's winning. He's getting the results the Democrats have never been able to get, and it drives them bonkers. The left feels comfortable having black Americans on their plantation. Tragically, a hell of a lot of black Americans feel comfortable being on that plantation. Kanye West is not one of them. Neither is Candace Owens. They want to think for themselves. They have good common sense. And for that reason, they have to be demonized and insulted and slandered. This is the politics of the mob. The mob is the big word in the last couple of weeks. This is mob reaction, and this is what you will get much more of if you're stupid enough to vote Democrat. We'll be back.
How many times have you gone into a health food store and were confused with many different brands and prices of the same color? You want to buy the cheapest, but you're afraid that quality is less, so you buy the most expensive. Truth is, the cheapest may be better. Green Herb herbal supplements are all manufactured in our Wheat Ridge, Colorado plant at 4565 Kidman Street, using the highest quality herbs that we source from all over the world. Our 150 different herbal supplements are the most potent and safest in America. Our guarantee is your money back, no time limit. Just return the bottle empty or full, no questions asked. So when you come to our new location, look for our new name and get this help. Or call us at 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372.
Ladies with the baby, coordinated is working taxes. Different than heart attack and hip. With inside heart attack, or serious heartbeat, often indigenous to the rest of simply as treat the pain that still chest pain. Emergency medical help and call 911. If you're experiencing any reason, pain, pressure, burning, or twisting the chest, jaw, shoulders, back, or arms that last more than 5 to 10 minutes, unexplained jerks the breath of 5 to 10. Sudden severe mental vomit, suggestion, sweating for no, sudden unexplained increase in heat, loss of consciousness or thinking, sudden unexplained anything you have to make your needs stable to your mind. Follow your needs and be experienced to consider stripping you in any way, or even remotely related to your heart. Get yourself checked out first. If your doctor pushes you off, that's a sign you need a doctor. Let's hold back what you do.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare and security, the blessing of the brave to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution. American women are being incorporated right now. Remind parents, keep an eye on your child all the time. Children is ready to become law. This goes into American people who would be the keep track of your listeners at all times. If you have information regarding a lost child, call local authorities at once. Listen, from American women being incorporated right now. For residential or commercial offending, call 303-263-4228.
All right, guys, Jesse Waters of Waters World and Coulter, Corey Lewandowski, go.
Former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski and conservative columnist Ann Coulter, author of Resistance is Futile, one of my favorites. All right, Ann, I want to play some sound for you. By the way, this is probably the most fair and balanced panel I've ever had. And because of that, I'm going to play a Democrat. I'm just kidding. I would knock my head off. No, I want to play some sound of the president praising Mitch McConnell, and let's listen.
Goes down as the greatest leader, in my opinion, in history. What we've done is incredible together. But he's better when I'm president than he ever was when anyone else was president.
Trump made Mitch great again, or as he's known favorably, Cocaine Mitch. What do you think, Ann? How are you going to turn that into immigration?
Okay, give me 30 seconds. Well, right after Kavanaugh gets through and he is in Kentucky, okay, you got to praise Mitch McConnell. But by and large, I think the mistake of the Trump administration so far is Trump giving into the Mitch McConnell agenda rather than the other way around. McCain couldn't win the way the country's been changed by immigration. McCain couldn't win, Romney couldn't win. Trump won. So why don't Republicans in Congress think, oh, this guy knows how to do it. Let's be like him. Let's pass funding for the wall and get the Democrats to vote against it. No, they go straight back to the old Republican playbook, tax cuts, military spending, continuing the various wars we have around the universe. I mean, who are the biggest stars right now in the Democrat or Republican Party? Donald Trump, Lindsey Graham, and that wonderful Bill Cassidy.
And Corey Lewandowski.
We can play that would be great too. What did they do? They stood up to liberals.
Yes.
You know the Bill Cassidy clip.
Yes, yes. He goes up to some woman who I think had brought her children into the halls of Congress, and oh, you ruined my children's future. And he looks at the kids and said, your mother's making you into a pawn. Don't ever be a victim
And
like
if you were ever accused falsely as an adult, don't worry, they won't get away with it.
Exactly. And Corey, Mitch McConnell does say he's going to get a lot of wall funding in the lame duck Congress if there is one. What do you think? Well, look, I think where you have to praise Mitch McConnell is him actually getting the federal judges through the system. This president's put 84 judges into the system, which has long-term ramifications for the electorate and for the people in the country for the foreseeable future. That is a testament to what Mitch McConnell said. But the president has done it against the will of the Senate. Look, he just nominated some more people for the Ninth Circuit that were not with the advice and consent of the two senators from California, because he said it's time to change the judiciary because they have legislative from the bench. We've seen this too many times. To Ann's point, the immigration issue had to go all the way to the Supreme Court for a 9-0 decision to say the President of the United States has the authority to prevent people from coming into this country that he believes are a detriment to our country. The same power that every president has used since World War II, but we've seen judges all too often legislating from the bench. So, to Mitch's credit, because of what the president has done, they fundamentally changed the court system, and that's going to have long-term ramifications in the positive sense. Well, if Mitch McConnell could make the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals Republican, give the guy the Congressional Medal of Honor. I want to play some really touching sound of the president today in the Oval Office. He just secured the release of a prisoner abroad from Turkey. Let's watch this very special moment.
No video.
In the Oval Office when he was there praying with the pastor who was just released from Turkey. Can we play that? All right, so we all saw that today.
Build the wall change.
I know everyone can talk about immigration, but it was a very special moment when he secured the release of this prisoner. And his president has done that consistently, whether it's in North Korea, whether it's in Afghanistan, or all around the world. And the American people, when they see this, there it is right there, when they see this, it shows that this president really cares about each individual American.
Yes, and not only that, I mean, all of the pastors, and a lot of black pastors, praying with Trump during the campaign, I thought it was absolutely sincere and genuine when he said in response to the Access Hollywood tape that running for president has changed him. And I just like to see Trump, who you don't really think of. And
look at the pious, humble Trump right there bowing down. I mean, that's just,
I don't think
you've never really seen that before.
Holy roller before he ran for president, but you can't have that many Christians praying over you and praying with you without having that affect you.
Right. Corey, what do you think? Look, I think the mainstream media wants to overlook all the success that this president has of bringing Americans home who have been captive overseas. No one's talking about the woman who was a captive against her own will in Egypt that he brought home. If you remember, he went to Joint Base Andrews one night at midnight to see people come back off that plane who were overseas. This president has done this time and time and time again without bucket loads of money, without palletfuls of cash going overseas. He's not negotiating with these nations. He's saying, you send our people home or we're going to have a problem. And he is drawing a line in the sand that those other nations have continuously walked across in previous administrations, and this time they understand if you cross this person, he's not a man to be trifled with, and there will be a recourse. And so we saw that today, and I think that family and the nation is very happy that he's back on U.S. soil. And
speaking of trying to be the Democrat here, all that, though that is true, and Trump is strong, I'm not really that enthusiastic. That's not bringing people out to vote. What are these people doing in ridiculous countries to begin with? What we wanted was a wall.
Well, yes,
you don't have to keep saving people who did. I feel like it's, skiers who go off into a no skiing area, avalanche warning, don't go, and we have to spend all this money to get them back. Don't go to these countries.
Well, I mean, Turkey can be a very nice place to be. Sometimes,
I'm glad we got them. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's a much more important thing to protect the Americans who live here.
Speaking of that, the president really delineated that vis-a-vis the midterm elections. Here was his contrast. Let's listen.
The fact is, Democrats have become the party of crime. They have. Republicans are the party of safety, and we are the party of jobs, jobs, jobs.
So the president has, I believe, a gift politically for really just in black and white terms. They're socialists, we're capitalists. We like law and order, they love crime. No other, I believe, president has ever put anything in those stark terms before, and that's what's driving these liberals mad.
He's totally right on the immigration issue, though. If he goes along with Jared Kushner's idea on prison reform, he'll be the crime president. So, warning, Mr. President. And
lock him up, right?
One other thing about the immigration issue is you're right about the courts. The courts will not matter. The Kavanaugh nomination will not matter. If immigration changes this country enough that we can never get another Republican president, they're just going to pack the courts, and all of these victories will be footprints in the sand.
And my friends, that will be the end of the country that you and I have grown up in. And it'll be a sad and a tragic end. Back to Trump accomplishments before we hit the next commercial. As far as American income, median household income rose to $61,372 in 2017, a post-recession high. Wages up in August by their fastest rate since June 2009. Paychecks rose by 3.3% between 2016 and 2017, the most in a decade. Council of Economic Advisors found real wage compensation has grown by 1.4% over the past year. Some 3.9 million Americans off food stamps since the election. Median income for Hispanic Americans rose by 3.7% and surpassed $50,000 for the first time ever in history. Home ownership among Hispanics at the highest rate in nearly a decade. Poverty rates for African Americans and Hispanic Americans have reached their lowest levels ever recorded. We'll be back.
Quality authority, especially from other qualified ambassadors, celebrating decades of dedication and reach, both and dedicated. Call 352-1316 for families and the dedicated staff. Remind us, children are our future. That future worth protecting. The Patriot Trading Group is a different kind of gold and silver company, cleaning up the industry for 21 years. Tired of the high-pressure sales tactics, the constant phone calls. Are you done with the bait and switch? You just want to be treated fairly with honesty and respect? That's exactly what you get when you call 800-951-0592. You have my word on it. I'm Jim Jacobs, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Check us out online at allamericangold.com. Howdy, folks. Have you ever thought about having your own backyard chicken? Now you have a source for certified organic, no GMO, no soy chicken feed. HappyHens.biz can even deliver, or you can pick up. Call me, Tim, at 303-829-5948, or go to happyhens.biz for pricing and ingredients. At happyhens.biz, we love happyhens.biz. Or call us at 303-829-5948. The American Food Network is not funded or supported by federal recruits or government programs. The American Food Network is not sponsored by advertisers demanding content or programming control. The American Food Network is solely funded by you, the listeners. You help keep the American Food Network on the air by purchasing one of our sponsored fine products or by calling 1-800-205-6245 to make a donation to the American Food Network needs yours.
All right, guys, we're back. Kellyanne Conway was on Fox and Friends today talking about Donald Trump's interview with 60 Minutes. Now, the president didn't call me to ask my advice, but I know that the CBS, which puts on 60 Minutes, I know they are anti-Trump, anti-American political whores. And I know that Leslie Stahl, who interviewed the president, is a veteran whore. And I would have advised the president not to go on 60 Minutes. But, like I said, he didn't call. Maybe he called when I was out. Anyway, here's Kellyanne Conway. My friends, this is the thing that defeats me. This is the thing that kills me. Republican, Democrat, pretty even. Why? What have the Democrats done for America? For years. What have the Democrats done? What have they done that's good? They've raised taxes. They made the country much more dangerous. Sanctuary cities, not protecting the border, joining with Black Lives Matter, talking about killing cops. On and on and on. The Democrats have done nothing good for America, and yet we've got millions of American voters who are as stupid as salt, who continue to vote Democrat. That's what gets me. Why are there so many millions of Americans who are just uninformed or apathetic or just plain ignorant or stupid enough to keep voting for the poison that's been killing their country? Stay angry? I have no problem staying angry. When I see Americans voting for those who want to destroy America, it makes me angry. Those are the people sitting at the far end of the rowboat drilling a hole in the middle. I really don't care if they drown, but they're going to take us down with them. That's the infuriating part. I just don't get it sometimes. We'll take a break and we'll come back. More Real Truth, right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Phillips, founder of the Green Earth. Well, it had to happen. The Colorado legalized marijuana. Most people thought the Green Earth was a marijuana dispensary. Although it was legalized on January the 1st, 2014, the same day we opened our new location at 4565 Kiffin Street, 1.5 blocks south of I-70. There are 83,000 cars a day nesting in front of our new location on Kiffin Street, and most of them thought we were a marijuana dispensary. So we changed the name of our retail store to New Genesis Health, but we kept the name of our Green Herb supplements. So when you come to our new location, look for our new name, New Genesis Health, or call us at 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372, and be sure to listen to the Healthy Nature Show with Mr. Phillips every Tuesday at 1 p.m. You know, our focus will want you to remember your life began at conception. This is the life of every yet to be born. Baby and mother both lose when one is agreeing with an abortion. It's the same to choose abortion. Former abortion Dr. Nathan said people do not understand that there are thousands of serious physical complications from abortion every year in this country. Abortion practice with severe depression, stress, anxiety disorder, sleep disturbance, suicide, violent behavior, sterility, increased risk of miscarriage and delivery complications with premature birth. International Journal of Epidemiology reported abortion by 90%. Every hopeless baby has the right to life, too. This life-giving message is brought to you by TLR Associates of Boulder, providing a job well done for your home or business with signs, stucco, stone, and brick. Call TLR Associates of Boulder, 303-921-3310. TLR Medallion brand and stucco protects the Boulder and Northern Colorado area.
Back to listing the 289 accomplishments of the Trump administration in just 20 months. There's no way I'm going to get through more than even a quarter of this list. Go to my Facebook page, Riell Truth Radio. You'll find the entire list. American optimism, small business optimism has hit historic highs. NFIB Small Business Optimism Index broke a 35-year record in August. SurveyMonkey/CNBC Small Business Confidence Survey for the third quarter of 2018 matched its all-time high. Manufacturers are more confident than ever. 95% of U.S. manufacturers are optimistic about the future, the highest ever. Consumer confidence is at an 18-year high. 12% of Americans rate the economy as the most significant problem facing our country, the lowest level on record. Confidence in the economy is near a 2-decade high, with 51% rating the economy as good or excellent. American business investment is flooding back into the United States due to the tax cuts. Over $450 billion is already poured back into the U.S., including more than $300 billion in the first quarter of 2018. Retail sales have surged. Commerce Department figures from August show retail sales increased 0.5% in July, an increase of 6.4% from July 2017. ISM's index of manufacturing scored its highest reading in 14 years. Worker productivity is the highest it's been in more than 3 years. Steel and aluminum producers are reopening. Dow Jones Industrial Average, Standard & Poor's 500, and NASDAQ have all notched record highs. Dow hit record highs 70 times in 2017 alone, the most recorded in 1 year. Deregulation. Achieved massive deregulation at a rapid pace, completing 22 deregulatory actions to every one regulatory action during his first year in office. Signed legislation to roll back costly and harmful provisions of Dodd-Frank, providing relief to credit unions and community and regional banks. Federal agencies achieved more than $8 billion in lifetime net regulatory cost savings. Rolled back Obama's burdensome Waters of the U.S. rule. Used the Congressional Review Act to repeal regulations more times than ever before in history. Tax cuts, biggest tax cuts and reforms in American history by signing the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act into law. Provided more than $5.1 trillion in gross tax cuts, nearly 60% of which will go to families. Increased the exemption for the death tax to help save family farms and small business. Nearly doubled the standard deduction for individuals and families. Enabled vast majorities of American families to be able to file their taxes on a single page by claiming the standard deduction. Doubled the child tax credit to help lessen the financial burden of raising a family. Lowered America's corporate tax rate from the highest in the developed world to allow American businesses to compete and win. Small businesses can now deduct 20% of their business income. Cut dozens of special interest tax breaks and closed loopholes for the wealthy. 9 in 10 American workers are expected to see an increase in their paychecks thanks to the tax cuts, according to the Treasury Department. More than 6 million American workers have received wage increases, bonuses, and increased benefits thanks to the tax cuts. Over 100 utility companies have lowered electric, gas, or water rates thanks to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Ernst & Young found 89% of companies plan to increase worker compensation thanks to the Trump tax cuts, established opportunity zones to spur investment in left-behind communities. My friends, go to my Facebook page, Riell Truth Radio. 289 rock-solid accomplishments of the Trump administration in less than 2 years. I'll see you tomorrow. Hasta luego.